just move straight on to our demo. And I'm going to refer it back to Chris, who's going to take us on sort of more of a deeper dive into the platform and how Celigo is helping from an expense management process. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here, Chris, and hand it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Michael. All right, so inside of Celigo, hopefully everyone can see my screen here. This is our integration platform, integrator.io. So this is, to Michael's point, really kind of a single source of truth to see and maintain and build out, edit, create new integrations within your tech stack. So what we're going to really be talking about is the expense management side of things today. But as you can see, there's a lot of other use cases that you might see within my environment as far as how Celigo could help your business. If I drill into this expense to reimbursement integration tile, it's going to split out all the different types of integration flows that we would have. And we really define a flow as you've got a source for your data and a destination or multiple destinations. I'll get into that use case as well, where you need to shuffle data to and from. So from here, we are moving things like expense reports out of Concur into our NetSuite ERP environment. We're also able to sync those images. So those receipts and attachments that you might require as part of your process, those will come over as well as a part of this whole process. So what I actually did, I ran this right before we hopped on today. So starting from the Concur side of things, I went in, created a new expense report here for a specific, just a generic kind of breakdown of what you typically would see. So including things like the airfare ticket, lunch, taxi, hotel, all those types of things. And then we went through all of our approval processes within Concur. So this process is only going to run once these reports have gone through the appropriate levels of approval that you set up within your company based, again, on your specific process. So once that report goes in and runs, we run an integration against that extract inside of Concur. So again, just ensuring that we're only pulling out the correct specific expenses that would be of an appropriate status. And so when we move that into your NetSuite ERP, it's already going to be marked as approved, and it's going to have that, again, specific status that Concur is going to drive for us. And then if I hop on over into NetSuite, we have just a really simple save search, just looking at our expense reports created through Concur in this integration. So we can come in and see that expense report that came over. And if I take a look at it, it's going to just break out all the different line items that make up that expense report. So these different expense categories, which would then tie to your appropriate expense GL accounts. So per category, you're going to have that, making sure it hits the right GL. And we can see everything that, again, is tagged from that level. And again, the file attachments come through there as well. So really just automating that whole process. Once your users go in and submit those, all the approvals take place inside of Concur. And then we automate that process of taking all of that data out. And again, if you're a larger company, you've got a lot of people that are on site, whether that's sales teams that are going out to try to get more customers or help existing customers. If you have project teams, consultants that are working specific projects, you can even have that tag against a location, a customer, your different segments that you might set up inside of NetSuite, or a specific project itself over here on the right. So really just depending on what your use case is and how your employees are leveraging your expense management tools, we can help automate a whole lot of that process for you. So this is going to drive a lot of the reporting inside of your NetSuite environment. But to Michael's point, once these expenses get in there and then you need to move out to pay out those expenses to those employees to make sure they're reconciling that all appropriately, that's something that we're really helping automate for you. Now coming back into Celigo here, where we can take a look at just all these different integration flows. So if I open one up here as an example, this is pulling those out of Concur and importing them into NetSuite. This is a very good visual of the different steps that are involved. So we're getting that extract definition detail. So it's basically pulling a file out of Concur. Once you run that report, we then take that report and continue down the line to grab the specifics of that different job run and all the different information we would need to create that expense report inside of NetSuite. If you need vendor information, amount details, again, all of that would make up the overall expense report that would be in your ERP system. Now, if you're using another type of expense management tool, you see Coupa here as well. That's the benefit of having a platform like Celigo. So it's not just a system where you can only use one or the other. It's really intended for any company that's using some kind of software that can be integrated into and out of through REST APIs, through flat file transfers. That's really where Celigo can help automate a lot of that process for you. And again, the tool is designed to be much more than just simply, hey, take the record from, in this case, Concur, and move that to NetSuite in sort of a to B kind of fashion. You can also think of Celigo as automating holistic processes, like getting into the hire to retire kind of area where, hey, speaking of Concur, we have ADP, we're hiring new employees. We need to make sure they're set up in the appropriate expense management tools. So take those newly hired ADP employees, create them inside of Concur, create those employee records in NetSuite, create those in Salesforce. If you want to go all the way and down the line, you can have Celigo be that tool to connect those dots for you and really help automate the processes that you are spending a lot of time manually today. So just ensuring lower levels of errors, lower levels of human intervention, so that your team can spend more time on more kind of value add tasks versus just more administrative based tasks that might come with those manual processes. All right. Now with that, Michael, I'll pass it back to you.
Got it. Thank you, Chris. Thanks so much for being able to give us that in-depth demo of our expense management solution. So with that, I just want to recap that we do have a finance automation. This is a part of a finance automation series. This was the 5th installment. I would implore you to watch the rest of them on demand, and we hope you've very much enjoyed this webinar series. We loved having you here with us, and we enjoyed presenting this as well. And so we look forward to talking with you in the future. We do have a couple of questions that have come in. Does the integration work with both Concur Standard and Premium, Chris?
It sure does. Absolutely. So regardless of the additional Concur that you're running, we can work with it to ensure we're pulling all the right data.
Great. And I think there's another one that's come to, what else do you connect with? So we'll just dovetail those in.
Yeah. So I mentioned something like Coupa. That's a pretty popular one. Expensify. Some of these expense management tools have native plugins, but what you tend to find with native plugins is there's, they may not be super wide and super deep in terms of their applicability or levels of customization. So if you're, got something special within your process, that's, again, a good time for Celigo to come in for you. But there's tons of different expense management tools out there today. So really, as long as there's some way to connect and grab that data, then Celigo can help.
Great. Thanks so much. Well, I think we're going to leave it there, Chris, because we've all out of time. Again, thank you so much for joining us in this webinar series. We hope that we can engage with you further for any of your finance automation needs, whether it be quote to cash, procure to pay, accounts receivable, accounts payable, etc. And again, thank you for being able to join us, and we look forward to talking with you soon. Take care now.